Hey guys, it's Ben with Dominator here. We are at the Dominator warehouse in Linden, Utah, and today we're going to be doing an installation video for our 72-inch Dominator basketball hoop.
So for your template plate, you're going to want this to be as level as possible in your concrete. However, we do have these leveling nuts to help you adjust it if there is any kind of a grading issue with your concrete or your driveway. When you install your template plate, you're going to want this bolt to be buried in the concrete, and so that your template plate is laying flush with the concrete. Now that you've got your template plate set and your J-bolts in the ground, you're going to want to start by putting a nut on each one of these 4 bolts and then a flat washer right on top, just like that.
When you set the base on the anchor plate, you're going to want to have the help of someone else. What you're going to do is you're going to set the front of this base on the front 2 bolts of the anchor plate like follows. Once your base is on the template, you're going to want to take these front 2 bolts here and you'll put on your flat washer, your lock washer, and your nut. And for this point, you can just hand tighten everything. All right, once you've fastened down those 2 nuts, you're going to want to lift this base up on the pivoting front anchor to make sure that it goes on smoothly to the back 2 bolts, kind of like this. As long as that's going on smoothly, you can go ahead and take your crescent wrench now and fasten down these front 2 nuts. All right, now that your base is on the bolt plate here, you're going to want to make sure that your base is level front to back and side to side. So for example, if your hoop was leaning to one side, you could raise the nuts on the front and the back to help tilt it the other way. Or if it was leaning too far forward, you could raise the front 2 nuts to tilt it backwards. All right, once you have your base set up on the anchor plate, now let's move to the backboard. We have our backboard laid down on a piece of cardboard here, but you could use a blanket or the foam that's included in the hoop packaging, just anything to help prevent the backboard from being scratched or damaged. Once you have your base leveled on the anchor plate, before you put on the arm of the backboard, you're going to want to take out all 8 of these bolts, bushings, and lock washers. If they're too tight, you can use your 7/32 Allen wrench to get those out. All right, after you have the backboard in place, we're going to move to the arm here. To start, before we put the arm on the backboard, you're going to want to take out all of these 4 bolts that come on the arm. This little rubber piece right here is just to hold the hardware on the bolt. You can actually just throw those away. So once you take these out, you can just set them aside, and we're going to put the arm on the backboard. All right, once you have the hardware out of the arm, you're just going to go ahead and take the arm and set it down into the backboard. You're going to want to make sure that these 4 holes line up with the 4 holes on the backboard. And then you'll take the bolts that you took out earlier, and you'll just go ahead and hand tighten those down into the backboard. Once you've hand tightened those 4 bolts down, you're just going to want to make sure that this is level. One trick that we use is just make sure the top of this arm plate is lined up with the top of this plate here. So once you make sure that's lined up, you can take your 3/4 inch socket and tighten these down. All right, now once you tighten down those 4 bolts, you're going to want to need the help of someone else. What we're going to do right now is attach the base to the backboard. And you're going to see how easy this is. One thing that we like to do is tilt this up, have your friend or whoever's helping you grab the backboard there, and then you're going to tilt this down and you're going to put them together. One thing that we like to do is make sure you're about 7 feet away before you do this, and it makes it pretty seamless. So you drop them together like this. Make sure you don't pinch your fingers, and just kind of slide them together, just like that. All right, so once you have these 2 pieces together, you're going to want to make sure that these outer holes from the arms are lining up with the inner holes of the base. One way to know that you've done that is that this bushing here is going to sit completely flush with the arm. As you can see right now, it's not. So we'll make a little adjustment on the backboard so that it sits nice and flush, just like that. All right, once that bushing is nice and flush, you can just go ahead and take your bolt and hand tighten it in. If you're having some trouble getting these bushings to fit, by the way, sometimes it helps to have the person helping you install kind of adjust the backboard, and so it can line those holes up better. Okay, once you've hand tightened these bolts and set those bushings on all 8 of them, you can go ahead and take your 7/32 Allen wrench and tighten those down. Once you have the hoop assembled on the ground here, now comes the easy part. All you're going to do is stand it up onto the back 2 bolts. You're going to want 2 or maybe 3 people to help you with this. You're going to want 2 people at least to stand that up, and then 1 strong person or 2 people, just for safety measures, can help you hold that hoop up while another person goes and fastens the back 2 nuts onto the back 2 bolts. All right, always remember to lift with your legs and not your back. Go ahead and stand it up, walk it forward like this, and like I said, Garrett's going to hold it there, and all I'm going to do is just hand tighten these down. I'll put the flat washer, the lock washer, and the nut down just like that. All right, once you have it stood up onto the back 2 bolts here, you can go ahead and take your crescent wrench and fasten down these 2 nuts. Once you have that up, you can go ahead and put the handle on by taking out this nut, sliding the handle on, and you'll see that it's a square fitting and a square handle there. So just line those up, and it should slide on nicely, and then you can replace this bolt here, just like this. Once you've hand tightened that, you can go ahead and take your 7/32 Allen wrench and just tighten that bolt down. All right, now we're going to move on to the rim. The first thing you need to do with the rim is to take this front rim plate off. You're going to do that with your 5/32 Allen wrench. And there's 2 bolts on the side here. You're just going to remove both of those. All right, now you're going to want to take these rim bolts out. And so you're actually only going to take these 2 bottom ones out. These top 2 you're going to loosen about halfway. And that's because when you put the rim on, you actually slide the rim over those 2 bolts and rest it on them. This is what it's going to look like before you put the rim on, with the bottom 2 bolts gone and the top 2 backed out about halfway. All right, so you'll see on your rim here, you've got these 2 smaller holes on the bottom, and then you've got 2 bigger ones right there. You're actually going to slide the rim over the bolts that you left in the backboard over these big holes there. One thing that you're going to want to make sure to do is that the washer and the lock washer are on this side of the rim and not behind the rim. Okay, just like this. Now you're going to take your other 2 bolts, put them in these last 2 holes for the rim, and you can just hand tighten them for now. All right, once you've hand tightened those bolts down, you can take your 9/16 socket and fasten those down. You're also going to want to make sure that your rim is level. So the way we do that is drop a level on top of the rim here, and then if you need to adjust it, you can loosen some of these bolts and angle your rim one way or the other to make sure that you get a level rim. Once your rim is level and you fasten those down with the socket wrench, you can go ahead and put this plate back on. The easiest way to do that is just to slide that in there, line up your hole on the side, and then replace the bolt from where you took it out earlier. All right, now that you have the rim on, you've got the arm connected to the base, you've got the backboard, you've got the handle on, it's finally time to take this safety bolt out here. The easiest way to do that is with your 9/16 socket again. Just go ahead and back this bolt out. Okay, now that you took the safety bolt out of the base, your hoop should be free to move up and down now. The way to adjust your hoop is to actually pull the pin out on the handle, and then you can go ahead and crank it up and down. Okay, as for the anchor cover, you're going to want to line up this hole with this hole. Sometimes it's helpful to have someone else put it together like this while you screw it in. You're just going to need your Phillips head screwdriver to line up those holes, and then just go ahead and fasten it in there. All right, once you have the anchor cover on, you can go ahead and replace the pad. It's pretty easy, just drop it over here, and then go ahead and buckle these buckles on. Okay, so these right here can be tightened. If your hoop has a little bit of sway or if it shakes a little bit, all you have to do is take your crescent wrench and you can tighten these down both sides, and that will help strengthen your hoop. All right, now you're going to want to extend your hoop all the way to its highest setting, and basically what you're going to do is measure your hoop out at 10 feet. You're going to want to do this before you put the height decal on. So you can just use a tape measure for this. You might want help from someone else just to keep the tape measure balanced, but you're going to want to go from the front of that rim all the way down to the ground. All right, with your hoop at 10 feet, you're going to want to put the height decal on now. One little
trick of the trade that we do before we put the decals on is just kind of use a card to get those decals to stick a little better onto the backing. That'll help you when you put it on the back of the hoop. So with the decal, what you're going to want to do is peel this backside off so it reveals the sticker on the sticky part. And what you're going to want to do is line up, tuck this sticker down underneath there. You're going to want to line up the bottom of this hash mark with the bottom of the plastic here, and that represents 10 feet. Once you have that set at that spot, now the rest of the decal is going to align with the correct footage on your hoop. Okay, before you start peeling it off, just kind of press those numbers down onto the back side of the hoop. And what you want to do is now just go ahead and crank it down and keep pressing on the stickers as you go. All right, now you have a fully assembled Dominator hoop. It usually takes us 15 to 20 minutes to put these together, so it's a pretty easy installation process as you saw. If you do have any issues with the installation, if you're missing anything or if there's any issues, feel free to reach out to us and we'll be happy to take care of you.